Doing things and stuff, guys. All right. Welcome back to the Steeping Sensei podcast. Hello. I have theme music that we're going to turn on. Wait. It's actually so, tell me about yourself. This is my new. Say it right. Tell me about you. I'm curious. I'll throw the ball in your court.
What you're asking me? I call myself. So I'm a transformative nurse coach, and that's kind of how my journey started.
Transformative nurse coach. Love that. So I use transformative in mine as well. It's transformation, key time. That word is so important.
Yeah, I think where it's gotten me is more. That's where my vision goes. I'm trying to transform.
How did you find it? How did transformation find you, I guess? How did it feel?
What's happening?
Where's he to go?
Yeah, I'm back to the hospital. Every time I get a job. So I went into a transformative nurse coaching school. It's different than all nursing.
Frameworks for applying the emergency.
But during COVID, that's when all the nurses came out. When I started the course, there was already a few courses I had been done. I had no idea that existed, but it was that noise in my head that told me this. It's
pretty important. Right. This is going to be organic yummy berry tea. This is from Houston, Texas. And it is called the Path of Tea. And there's a really cute tea now called the Path of Tea in Houston, Texas. And if you're ever in Houston, Texas, you should check it out.
I'm going to take it out right now.
Yes, you're going to get it right now.
I love Texas.
Texas wants to be What happens here? Is that broken? Well, the epoxy that I use to seal the cup is probably not water safe. far as like grade.
One to roll.
Roll one pro.
Yeah?
Yeah, I dropped it.
Ooh.
It's box here. It's called.
And you know what I'm talking about?
Called Kitsuki.
Gold. Without unique special. Gold is interesting because gold is sacral and solar chakra colors. And that's that transformation that happens.
So cool. You can still see me when I'm over here. Hold on. Ooh, you got a camera today. Be part of the team. My antenna. Oh, that's not how you explain it to you. It's how you not feel like different times we're still learning things here. So you can sense it. It's just want to have fun too. Here, doing the Zen work of cleaning. You know, Zen in Zen Buddhism, a lot of the meditation is actually in cleaning. Like they do tea ceremony meditations, they do internal meditations, and then they also do cleaning meditation. Cleaning is part of their ritual where they're like cleaning things that are basically already clean. Like, yeah, like I mentioned, it's part of the meditation. I have a weekly clean. You're just doing. You're a human being that's being.
It feels like a very good picture of itself.
Right. I would have to agree. For me. Years. And I got they are a bunch of rabbits. To the explanation of the presence into the now.
I love you, water. So much. It would be nothing without water. We're actually like 2% water.
This is my new favorite friend. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see that at the top of my socks. That's this one real quick because I feel like it.
Wow.
Seeing ourselves when we drink tea. And we drink this tea, we create this space for ourselves with royal tea. Yeah, not a purpose at all. There's so many thoughts about it. You are eating fruit. It's just fruit and flowers.
Vacuum cleaner like that. That's very regular.
For those of you who don't know, I spilled tea on the ground, and the dog just ate it. Yeah. This thing. This is cool.
This is cool.
And I can be sitting at the desk with the same exact information books here. Do you see that color on that? Oh my gosh. I was not expecting that.
Oh, he gets them too.
Cheers. So much for coming to my home to share this moment with me.
Thank you for the questions.
Oh, I know exactly what it is. Piece of styrofoam. A piece of it looks like floating in there. And a piece of styrofoam.
So you can take me for me.
So there's this thing. First of all, you let it steep for too long, which I did. So the flavor sinks to the bottom of the tea.
How long do you steam it for?
25 seconds, 30 seconds.
That's too long.
Too long for this type of tea. So it's not the type of tea, it's the style. So the food tea is typically going to be 45 second, 30 second, 20 second steam time. And the longer you do the ceremony, the longer you steep the tea. So like by the time you steep it longer, you get flavor. I was supposed to get it to be this color the first time, and it's not like the second and third time. So then we taste it lighter, and then we taste it heavier.
You want both sides.
Oh yeah, I like white side too. Doesn't always
That's
have
what
to
we're at right now.
be heavy indeed.
Lunar style.
So many cheers. I need to make things that
Oh, it smells so good.
is my vision. Oh yeah, we should probably wait for the tea. And with the light on his head, it's almost like we're sitting like right across. This is so cool.
Oh, wow.
It's like,
Lights are merging.
cheers to my viewers and all the people that eventually see this one day. This is my first guest in my podcast, my live stream.
Cheers. We're making things happen.
And I'm excited to like see the space that you hold as like legitimizing and helping people and getting in the field and wanting to help. I think that I want to do that for really. But wanted to blow out our audio.
I'm glad you know which rabbit hole you want to go down on.
Yeah, that's why I waited. I was like,
Because that's usually what happens with me. We're going down some kind of rabbit hole.
so the rabbit hole I wanted to go down specifically, and that's why I waited for a moment before doing so. Sharing how predicament that I don't have with having multiple voices in my head.
Ooh.
Yeah. The voices show up as I'll just say it like it is. My neuroatypical, neurospicy, semi-autistic has thing around wanting to be free and wanting to create entrepreneurship, knowing that I thrive best in structure. It's easy to make up that structure is not good for me because it's restricting. So I have the opportunity to take a job, build building elevators again and make 26 an hour or something like that with benefits, and eventually make more, and eventually maybe apply for the union and make like 30, 40 an hour, and ridiculous benefits package long term. But there's something inside of me that calls to me and says, like, I need to be entrepreneurial. For me to really be entrepreneurial, I need to either be very diverse and do handyman stuff, or I need to fully take ownership of to basic, well, you want to be one or the other. You can't really be both.
The handy tea guy.
Yeah. Shut down my story real quick. Like the handy tea guy is something that I don't know. I think it's also kind of funny because I will typically bring my teapot to the pool. Carpentry was a teapot on the site. We got a little fucking tea party out here. Like on a carpentry job site with a bunch of grown men doing mold remediation, removing a 3-story wall and replacing it with crazy amount of work. And I looked at it and I'm like, here's some set that I bought in this cafe, and here's how I bought it. Mine's empty.
Wow. Smoking on your tea master. You got tea jugs, tea ponds.
It's nice to get this
Like life experiences.
Like, the goal is to share. This is just one of many methodologies. Tea touches on so many other modalities. Yeah, it's my
You're talking about fascia.
This is the mycelium. There's no mycelium in the tea at the moment.
Well, there's no question here that the tea has to be the primary shining.
Yeah, and TEA, so your tea time. I mean, transformational tea time is one thing, but the seminar series that I'll do eventually is TEA, which is teaching excellence, or teaching excellence and awareness.
Oh, awareness, and action. Awareness comes and then action.
TEAA, maybe. I might do that in the race, but I can do both. So, yeah, I'm very fast. Yeah. And nobody can keep up. Not nobody, I don't want to declare that as a state of reality. But consistently, over the 6th round, I want life partners. Someone like me, anything from establishing healthy partnerships for my life. My friendships got better, my acquaintanceships got better, my self got better. It's just me choosing to realize that love is infinite. I get to choose what I'm doing with my love. And redefining the paradigm of my story of excellence is I need to find the perfect woman because eventually I'm going to age out and I've got to find the perfect woman before I age out. So I can have kids at the right time. Do it all in a timely manner. I make up the story.
Well, I mean, if that timeline is fake, that story is fake. So that's not.
Yeah, the whole story is.
Yeah, the whole story is just a story.
And the commitment inside of the story is stability and feeling loved. Stability, connection, feeling loved. And that's accessible in relationships. But it's very easy to decide the pursuit of romance.
Well, you're pretty much like 50% ready or 80% ready for entrepreneurship because it is a journey of love. And it's a spiritual journey. And when you mentioned having to work on elevators, you're like,
Just for 3 years.
just for 3 years.
But before that, it was restaurant. So that's just as terrible.
Okay. So
Probably more terrible.
in the lunar cycle program, I talk about the elevator in our body.
That's ironic.
which is something that we are desperately trying to work on because those are our chakras. That's our elevator of energy, all the way from the bottom to the crown of your head. That's the real elevator that needs attention right now. And that's that connection to your true self.
It's interesting that with the right awareness, I think that you can massively accelerate your ability to find better with the spiritual connection that others can provide your life. I think it's very heavily discounted nowadays, where it's like, do it alone. And especially as someone who is wired the way that I'm wired, I just can't do it. I'm wired to be part of community and to be a contributing member to community. And I'm sure
You're a teacher.
in my nature is.
By nature, a teacher needs students. You can't be a teacher without students.
And you have people who are in the neurotypical world or in the professional world or are stuck in their stories who say like, oh, the best teachers don't really want to be teachers, or like whatever kind of thing that they say.
That is true.
And it's like the reluctant leader syndrome.
Yeah,
It's like, I don't want to be. I don't know. I know that it's something that I'm called to, so that's why I don't want it because it's coming.
It's your nature.
It's my nature. So it's like, it's interesting where I've had my brother even say, like, oh, don't try too hard at anything because best teachers, it happens naturally. I'm like, I want it to happen. I'm ready for it now, and I'm copying. If I don't show up because people need this. So I was talking about creating a system that I could bring into yoga studios and rehab centers. And to crystal shops and libraries and yoga centers and rehab centers and just make calls. Who wants to give me $200 for a book? For the rehab center that has mindfulness meditations and tea ceremonies, and we're educating you about different various philosophies and how they can all come together. Somebody they can get paid fucking money from rehab, and we can charge $300, $400, $500 for a session. I can start at like a 2-hour session for $200. Show up my app. It's good.
So your elevator's working. You know exactly what to do.
Yeah, but like I'm scared of it.
Yeah.
I'm scared that I'm not gonna be able to make the 6 survive and pay the taxes and pay the liability insurance, because I'm going to need liability insurance both for tea ceremony publicly, for allergens, and for ambulance. Maybe under the same insurance umbrella. I mean, it might need to be 2 separate insurances. One period. But my next
I have an answer for that. But I forgot to mention that I need to use this. And we've been drinking a lot of tea and a lot of water.
Yeah, let me put this on the grill and I will show you how for a moment. And all of our viewers can just enjoy breathing and being themselves and enjoy the beautiful view of my little office space.
This is live, guys.
All right, we are here doing things. This is a big deal. I'm pretty excited to be here. Everything seems to be going well. I hope our audio and our lighting is all working well. Welcome back. Are you interested in your car's extended warranty?
My car's extended warranty?
I just opened a letter about vehicle protection on a vehicle that was totaled 4 years ago that I still owe like $6,000 on because my insurance never paid out. And they tried to repossess it, and I said you can have it if you can find it. But after it got totaled car got stolen.
Oh my God.
The totaled car got stolen, and because the totaled car was sitting for so long that you don't want to have a lapse in your insurance. You know how that looks bad. So I kept paying insurance on the totaled car, but I lowered all my rates down to bare minimum so I would pay less. So in lowering my rates to continue not having a lapse in coverage, I took off the insurance that covers the car getting stolen.
Oh.
So the car got totaled and I didn't get paid for it. And then I had lowered the rates while the car sat still. And then the car got stolen and I had taken that privilege off of the insurance. And then got fucked twice.
I hope this helps somebody out there.
I hope this does. Like, all right, guys, the definition of true wisdom. Ready? This is my personal definition of wisdom. It's learning from other people's mistakes so you don't have to make them.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah. And I used to have this idea when I was younger that I didn't want to learn from others.
No, go ahead.
Please. Lana, come here. Lana, what are you doing out there?
Going on an adventure.
I'm in trouble.
Hi, where are you going? I can do it. Then I firmly under the feet. Like doing it.
Did you put lemon on this?
Oh! Ready?
Did you put lemon on this?
No.
There's some.
A little citrus taste in there. One puppy.
That's the one thing that I need these dogs to start doing is do that computer work.
The dog? Ha, 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 ha. You gonna work on the computer for us? Are you gonna respond? Are you gonna respond to any of the comments that my viewers are giving me? Also known as my lack of viewers, because I don't have an audience yet.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, of course, yeah. Yeah.
Speaking in the month of December on a lunar cycle that is going from the beginning of December to the end of December. Unusually, this happens because it's the last lunar cycle of the year.
And then on the 31st.
The next lunar cycle starts on the 30th.
Okay.
So there's 2 new moons on this month.
That's
And
like the opposite of
yeah,
normally there's one new moon and one full moon. There's 2 full moons, blue moon. So what's 2 new moons?
no, it's like the full process actually. Because in the new moon, we don't see the moon, but it's there. It's in those very early stages of the going around the sun, but it's directly behind the sun. All the light is covered, you don't see it. And it's very much like our bulbs. You know they're there, you can't see it yet. But you know they're going to come around on that cycle.
And it's like every time I've had my big thing from this, every time I've had love loss, I'm like, oh no, blah blah blah. Ultimately, it's like better love comes around. The things you want to align for, as long as you really hold space for it and actually heal and really do the work and look at yourself and say, how was I the problem? Was I the problem? And what can I take ownership and responsibility of? And it's like going to the void. It's like this new moon phase where it's just darkness. You can't see it. It's this powerful force that's always with you. You can't see it. And it's like You go out at night and it's cold and dark, not just cold. You can't just be cold and see where you're going, but now you're cold and lost. And especially moving into winter. It's cold here in Florida right now, let alone like, I think it's
we're having a winter.
Yeah, it's 55 degrees, and that's kind of cold, guys. I know, I get it. Like, it's Florida, it's not really cold. Like, it's gonna be what, in the 40s next week?
Yeah, I have to make a confession. I asked for this.
I love it. And apparently, it's been getting colder earlier and getting colder longer because a lot of the people that I've talked to that live in other places or have lived in Florida for a long time, say that it didn't used to get like this.
No, we've never had a consistent winter like this.
It's
in
wild.
November.
It's November, and it's
December.
been like 2 or 3 different cold days, and now it's going to be cold again all week. Guys, if you don't think global warming is real, because it's also effective in global cooling in certain moments, it's not changed the fact.
Well, a lot of what's happening in our external environment has a lot to do with what's going on in our internal environment too. And when you're doing Reiki on somebody, when you're doing energy healing, there's that sensation of cold that has to happen to open up. Just like in cold weather and in freezing waters, our nervous system is able to survive.
Like ice baths and
Yes.
shock therapy. And
Yes. So this is for all those people that have been doing those ice baths and shock therapy to be able to get it naturally from the universe. It's needed in this time. It's a very time of the year where people tend to get very sad. Some people tend to get very sad.
It's funny, we were talking about seasonal depression disorder today, or seasonal. The acronym for it is SAD. So it's like it's sad disorder.
Yeah, it's sad disorder. You're very sad. And with reason, because when we're depressed, we're focusing on things that make us bring our energy down, and usually something from the past. So we're depressing ourselves, we're depressing our emotions, we're depressing our feelings, we're depressing a lot of things. Which
it's not being present.
It's
not being present at all. Where it's like fear of repeating the past, is living in the past, it's replaying the past, and the way that the human brain doesn't distinguish between talking about something and actually experiencing it. Like when you talk about the past, somebody reminded me and represenced me on the fact that I've talked in front of him several times about the times I've been assaulted. And he's like, you mentioned this multiple times now. As you keep bringing it up, your body experiences that over and over again. You keep talking about it like, oh, I've moved past that. I'm so proud. I went through this and I'm not there anymore. But the more times you say, I went through this and I'm not there anymore, depending on your tone and your context, unless it's in an educational way to somebody, like holding space for what they're going through. And like just saying it casually to your friend over and over again is actually not being over it. It's like, how many times am I going to talk about the thing? And it's like, you're not manifesting more of that, but you sure talk about it a lot. Like, I had to think about that. I'm like, oh, you're right. Like, as somebody who went through a period of abuse, and then I was so in the abuse, I manifested being abused outside of the abuse as well. So because I was so deep in the hole, after I got out of the hole of being abused by one person, I just got randomly assaulted at Jenny Springs. And then I pulled some other crazy thing that just came into my existence. And it's like it gets pulled in
your energy field. It's in your energy field.
And there is a strong distinction between talking about something for educational purposes and reflective purposes and talking about something just to talk about. I realized I was just talking about it to talk about it because it was just in my head. Which means it's not fully like
out.
Yeah.
Transformed.
Transmuted, transformed, transported out of my head and into my present moment again. It's like fear of recreating the past, so we talk about it because we're so aware that we're not there anymore.
Yeah, and it's okay because deep traumas like that take several times to process, and you even process them differently every time.
That I found for sure. I process things differently each time I talk about it. And it's like piece by piece by piece where it gets processed. And I'm actually in the works of talking to somebody with the organization that is the board of executives. He's one of the chairs of the board for the organization that there's a lot of unethical behavior. And I was one of the people that this place and the unethical things happened. And I was party to non-consensual things. And very uncomfortable, not sexual, but just very uncomfortable, weird stuff. And to be able to speak to somebody and then actually say, like, I'm sorry you went through that. Like, I don't know what I'm able to do to fix that. I can't go back and change what happened. And if you don't know who is the propagator of what happened to you, I can't hold them directly accountable, but I want you to know that I see you. I'm sorry that you went through that. And I was like, you're the first person that's ever come to me directly and been like, I'm part of the organization and I want to apologize. And that meant a lot for me to be able to say, like, all right, and I'm on a ready phone call with him sometime soon to clear up that which occurred so that we can all be better and closer to integrity. But that's one definition of talking about something so that you can heal through it.
Yeah.
And being open about something so you can heal through it. And I thought for a while that I wore all my trauma on my sleeve so that people who are experiencing similar trauma can feel normalized and know where to go and know that they have a safe space. But there's balance there between talking about it so much that you're still in your victimhood.
Yeah.
So I think that that was a strong awareness that my friend Josh brought me to. It's I don't know if you know Donnell, the other T woman in the community.
Another T woman?
Yeah. Not Jolly. So there's another T woman. There's three.
Oh.
There's me. There's technically four because Maria. I want to give Maria credit.
That's who I know.
Yeah, Maria's awesome. And then there's Jolly and the Tea Tell Truth shop that just popped up in West Palm Beach. It's like 8 minutes down the road.
Oh, okay, yes.
And then there's another woman named Donnell. And Donnell and her partner Josh run a tea company that I'll plug real quick. Ready? Let's plug them. Sensualities.
Oh, I love it.
And they have the most gorgeous tea sets.
Oh my God! Those are the colors of all the chakras.
Go for it.
Sorry, I didn't even. I'm more of a ask for forgiveness kind of person.
So just this gorgeous tea set, and you can't really even see the colors on this properly in this lighting. It's just unreal. You would need a light on it.
Oh my God, this is beautiful. I don't have my ring on, but I always have a ring that color.
It's like labradorite. I love it.
Labradorite, yes.
Yep. So it reminds me of labradorite, and it's got a matching tea container, and inside, actually open it up, it has peach blossoms. So I got peach blossoms as part of my tea set. Peach blossoms actually came with the tea set. And
so good.
So here?
Oh yeah.
Go for it. Take a pinch.
Okay. How do I do that?
Just from there into here.
With my hands?
That's fine. It's just dried herbs. Your finger oils aren't going to do much. Correct.
You say it's fine.
Yeah. It's fine.
And I know.
Maybe a proper, authentic tea master would say it's not fine, but I am very non-traditional, laissez-faire. My goal with tea ceremony is not to do it with all the silence and stoicness of traditional tea ceremonies, to bring joy and vibrancy and magic.
I love it.
That is my
I vibe with that. I vibe with that very much. A lot of the work that I do, I learned it very silent and serious, and it was actually a process for me to even be open to doing it, because I wanted it to create something more fun and more dynamic
and experience.
But then you also don't get seen as legit.
And that's my biggest concern right now. Is like, and actually, you know what? It's not my biggest concern right now. I think that was my biggest concern. And especially while I was younger, was I had all that knowledge, and I'm pointing to my library above my head, guys. And I'd read all of those books while I was still in my 20s, early 20s. And those are the cornerstones of what I think are some of the most should be There's another bookshelf upstairs and another one in my house. In my kitchen. So those are the ones that I think everybody should read. The Go-Giver, Think and Grow Rich, How to Win Friends and Influence People, The Richest Man in Babylon, The Monk and the Merchant. That's touching on a few of those. Extreme Excellence, Extreme Ownership, Critical Accountability.
Go-Giver, leader.
The Go-Giver is great. It talks about the law of reciprocity and the law of intentionality and the law of authenticity.
That called my attention.
And the Go-Giver also talks about all three are the Go-Giver: the red, the purple, and the green, and the blue. I think there's 4 up there.
Oh yeah.
So they're different models. One's the persuasion Go-Giver, one's the seller, the green one's the Go-Giver seller, the blue one's the Go-Giver communicator, and the red one is the original. And they're phenomenal. And I would give those books out. I would give the red version out to people, and that was their test for mentorship. I would vet people, and I was the vetting process. I was the filter. I was the bridge keeper of very high level mentors. And I sat down with people, and I considered myself a professional friend maker. I was in the network marketing industry, and I would open with like, I got a mentor who was amazing in my life, and that's helped me shift a lot of things. And if you jump through the right hoops and prove yourself that you're committed and intentional with your time, and that you can follow through with something that you agree to, I could introduce you. So I would sit down with people for coffee, talk about vision, values, mission statement. I would talk about Mark Cuban's article that says, don't follow your passions, follow your effort. Because where you put your effort, you'll become passionate about it to create results. And find what works, not just what you're passionate about. It's not saying don't follow your passions. It's saying follow your efforts.
Yeah.
And
but your efforts will activate those. Your passions will activate those efforts.
And your efforts activate your passions. You become good at something, you become more passionate. So it's interesting to see how it's a reciprocal cycle that sometimes people just say, oh, follow your heart, follow your passions. And they kind of forget the merging of the East and the West, the merging of the North and the South nodes, and the merging of the philosophies of success with the philosophies of wellness. And that's where Steeping Sensei comes to the table. The goal is all the head knowledge, all the life knowledge. And the armchair perspective just gets abolished, because it doesn't matter that I was an engineering student who was about to graduate with like physics and sciences and chemistry, and I know how the universe made you and all the intricate details between stars being formed and gravity pulling it all together and stardust getting exploded out into supernovas and quantum physics and the fusion of what happens inside of the stars to make the heavy elements in our bodies. Fascinating stuff.
I feel like you just explained, as you're saying that, it was bringing me back to my Buffo experience, which was the dissolution of the ego.
Yeah, I think the ego is,
and that's the truth. That's the truth behind that dissolution. Like that's what you can experience after that.
It's like I love saying, like, you matter so much that you were made of matter. Because first off, it's a Jake Jackson original. I did make that up, and I've never heard anyone say it but me. And I said it once. I haven't been saying it for a little while. You're so cute. You want to get on video? Look over here. You ready? Hold on. Let me do this for our viewers. Smell the thing? Come say hi to the camera. Like, now I don't know what I'm doing. It's so funny how that happens. Is you want to eat this?
Yeah. Peanut butter and pretzels.
But ultimately, knowing how it all works and knowing what to do doesn't create action. Both of them doesn't matter. You can put them both together and it still doesn't create action. Knowing how it all works and knowing what to do, not about knowing. People know they need to work out. I know I need to work out more. I know I need to eat better. But
it's good to know why.
When you help, yes, actually, and that's the other thing I taught in the vetting process, is a video from Simon Sinek called Start With Why. And it goes through the layers of what, how, and why. And the most successful people know what to do and how to do it, but more importantly, they know why they're doing it, because they can change the what and the how regularly as the business adapts, and they're not caught on what they're doing, what they're selling. how they're helping their client. They're worried about why am I here.
One of the biggest transitions in my entrepreneurship over the last 2 years was having to really shift that why so many times. So it gets, you can even start with a why, and it can completely transform that. Where you're like, what am I doing? This water?
Yeah, you can dunk the or just finish it. I was going to say, I'm going to just pour us bigger cups from now on instead of.
I remember when I started shifting out of my original why and into this bigger vision of wanting to reach my higher self in this lifetime now. And what you mentioned earlier about not striving for that, wanting to be present, was, being present is the ultimate goal, because that's the only way to get there.
I mean, for me, this forces me to be present when I'm making it with others, especially because we could be, maybe not us in our current dynamic, but we could be hanging out watching TV, or we could be sitting down by the fire and just having a chat, and that can be great. But creating the space over tea is literally creating transformational moments. I've never had a bad conversation over tea. And did you notice how much the color changed from the?
Oh, it's not pink anymore.
Peach. So the peach blossoms give it a much more earthy tone.
Very earthy.
So we added peach blossoms after we did 3 steeps of the fruit tea, and I think that the fruit tea started getting less and less fruity. It was starting to get pretty light.
Yeah.
And
we lost that.
I'm also curious.
Still smelling.
If this table is going to stain.
Oh.
I didn't even think about that. We can figure that out. I can sand it. I can sand it down. It'll add character. A bunch of tea stains all over the top of my tea table.
Character, for sure.
What do you guys think? To the 0 people watching this, let me know what you think. I'm honestly really excited to create the space to have an audience. I think that group work is so meaningful, and having once a week or even once a month free seminar that people can log into, and you can raise your hand and we'll work with you directly. And like, instead of it shows people what's available in coaching, because those people don't know what's not. People don't necessarily know what's available until they see it working in real life.
Oh yeah.
And that's why I think training programs like Landmark, when they moved online during COVID, they were like, I don't know if this is going to work. But it still does, because you have the coach and you have any other staff members, and then you have people raising their hand and wanting to participate. And then it's just like the coach side by side with the person who raised their hand and got chosen to participate, and they work with them directly on whatever they're working on. And when they work with the individual who chooses to be authentic and vulnerable about whatever they'd like direct coaching in, we all learn. Because like you mentioned, I'm down there. Garbage as well.
Yes, group spaces are so amazing. It's always a family constellation when it's a group space.
It's just how much so you get to see like the forum itself talked to me so deeply about my conversations with them. And like, all right, you're a narcissistic mom, blah blah blah. Like, how long do you want to keep living in your story that she's bad and wrong? She's just built the way she's built. She is the way she is. It is what it is, and everything else is what you make up. They're like, all right, well, what are you committed to? I'm like, I'm committed to being a healthy part of a family. And they're like, why are you not presently a healthy part of the family? I was talking about mom for 6 months. And there were some very legitimate reasons. And they're like, you can be reasonable and you can be full of reasons as to why you're out of integrity with your commitment to your value system. Huh. Like, I'll say that again slow. They said, you can be really reasonable, and it is reasonable to not talk to your mom. You can be creating reasons and holding on to those reasons that allow you to justify staying out of integrity with your value system. Like,
I don't want to do that. I want to be my value system.
And the inquiry was, where are you being inauthentic about the fact that you don't feel respected by your thinking about it. I'm working with her quite deeply on this, and we get to the point where I realize my inauthenticity with my family is I show up like a hurt teenager. I show up as reactive. I'm the best communicator I know,
But not with them.
but not with them.
I get it.
And I decided that I was going to change that inauthenticity. And I showed up to the table and I wrote my mom a handwritten letter and I put it on her door and got her out to have dinner with me or lunch with me and her mother. So my grandma and my mom. And my grandma was kind of the moderator for the conversation. She kept it on track and she was like, "Okay, honey, I think that's enough for today." It was great. And ultimately, I had the opportunity to share some of the work that I've been doing. Instead of saying, like, "Mom hurt me and I had to heal through all this stuff," I was able to say, like, "I'm so excited that I'm able to become a better communicator here in this relationship." Instead of saying, "Mom, you've been an unhealthy communicator for years," I was able to show up and say, "I've been reactive instead of being respectful to your communication style." And that's like
hard.
Oh yeah. To say that I am taking ownership over what I am able to take ownership over, but I'm also going to very powerfully not apologize for anything I don't feel comfortable apologizing. But still not blame the other person.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the blame game's played and the card is now been opened.
Oh, we're derailed.
Yeah. So I think it was the first time in my life at 31 years old, or I was still 30 at the time. A couple days before my birthday. Mom didn't interrupt, argue, tell me I was wrong, try to speak over me. She listened. For the first time in ever.
How did that feel?
New. It felt empowering to know that I was showing up in a way that made her uncomfortable, but still allowed her to feel respected, rather than being so direct and confrontational that she wasn't comfortable, but also not respected. I could tell she was getting a little uncomfortable with some of the things I was saying, but I was taking ownership. I said, "I'm sorry for my reactive communication. I know I might have burned some bridges in this relationship." Ultimately, they were the ones communicating very unhealthily. And the psychologists agree. I showed them all the pictures of the things that were happening. And it was reasonable for me to be reactive. But is that who I am? Is that authentic to me?
Keep that on forever.
Exactly. Do I want to keep playing that game? And the answer is no. So I decided to step left and move past it and just ignore the things that made me uncomfortable and focus on my value systems. Because fear and uncomfort do not necessarily mean danger. And I think that's a distinction that the human brain needs to uncollapse. Uncomfortable is danger.
That's a tough one because that's not only, it's so close to your values, but it's also so close to your hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And it could easily change your values because your pain is so big and so much, and it's so deep, so it probably started very young. So that's a hard one to really move past and really transform.
Yeah, and it's like
all the way.
Know that everyone is doing the best that they know. No matter how out of integrity it is, no matter how icky it looks from the outside. My abuser was a lovely person somewhere deep down on the inside, or I never would have loved her. But also, I manifested more of the results of, that's like my mom. I was dating my mom, and the outcomes of me being comfortable with that level of narcissistic abuse allowed me to just keep manifesting more narcissists.
It's the love you knew.
And once I got out of that cycle, I stopped cutting my hair. And
we are loyal to our parents even without realizing how we're being loyal to them.
And it's like making them bad and wrong and painting the story of what they should have done better is actually just keeping us in the pattern. Rather than just saying they are who they are, I am who I am, and I get to choose differently. Like the dysfunctions of our parents are the biggest gifts that we have. Because it's the gifts of empowerment that allow us to, I'm not saying they're pretty or uncomfortable.
Well, they're a big sign of what we need to improve in ourselves and our.
I never would do that for anybody. I wouldn't do that to my worst enemy. Some of the things my mom did to me, and like, I know what my value system is.
We would hope. We would hope. But there's some things that are programmed. You don't even know.
Yeah, well, the unprogramming process is just unprogramming. It's coming to the awareness of the program.
Oh, yeah.
Like Dominic Ruiz's work. Agreements. And talking about how you get trained like a dog from birth, and then you're given rewards and punishments, which is exactly how we train cats and dogs. They're really dogs.
No.
So it's like, how do we create the space where we come to the awareness of our programming and then choose to reprogram? And there's a million different ways, but I think that everyone has their own method. I mean, I got taken off a skateboard by a car and it brought me to yoga. Yoga brought me to the awareness of, you're so cute, you just want attention. Yoga brought me to the awareness of, I don't even know what my body's doing. I don't even know what my body's doing. I was in down dog. She's like, square your hips. I'm like, my fucking hips are square. She's like, are you okay with physical touch? I'm like, yeah. So she comes over and she squares my hips. And it feels like all wonky. And she's like, now your hips are perfectly square. I'm like, nah. She's like, yeah. I was like, okay. And then I realized in that moment, if I don't even know what my body's doing, what do I know? Mr. Smart Mathematic, sleep through science class and still pass the tests. Like, I don't know why, I've just always naturally known what I was talking about. I would literally hood up, head down in class, and I would ace tests. And I wasn't always fully asleep. I would still listen, because I have this thing where I can listen to everything all at once. It's uncanny. I can be fully in a conversation and listening to the conversation over there and catch both in entirety. And then later I'll walk over and I'll make comments on their conversation.
That's the complete opposite of me. You could be having a conversation right here. If I'm not tuned in, I wouldn't hear a thing.
I also cannot process writing and speaking at the same time at all. I can listen and write at the same time, but I cannot speak and write different things. I know somebody that is able to speak out loud the thought they have in their head and write notes about what that person just said at the same time. Imagine me writing notes about what you just said and speaking on paper one thing.
Wow.
And saying something else out loud. It's like circular breathing for your brain.
It's like having two people inside of you.
What's with the statistic that like apparently like only 30% of people have an internal monologue? Like 40 to 60% of people don't have an internal monologue at all times?
So we quiet that. You know, that internal dialogue, those are people that I was.
No, I mean, I think the statistic said that people just, like, some people don't have access to it.
Right. It's true. Because they're so blocked.
Wild to me.
They're so blocked. I was there.
Tell me about that.
I was there. I remember having someone tell me this maybe 6 years ago. It's the exact same thing. Can you believe that some people don't have an internal monologue?
And you're like, what's that?
Yeah.
Like, do you not have a voice talking to you in your head at all times? So you didn't used to?
I had so many voices in my head that I stopped listening to any of them. Anyone.
Just white noise.
White noise. I wouldn't recognize what was going on. It was such a long process for me to be able to tune in to what's coming through. And now it's incredible because, you know, I can even feel the air as messages come through now. Mm-hmm. So, but I was completely clogged. I couldn't hear a thing in my head. There was no conversations happening.
It's interesting because, like, technically, is that a lack of an inner monologue, or is that the lack of ability to quiet it to a point of being able to listen to it? It's almost like it's a whole chorus of inner monologue.
Yes,
it's just so loud.
When you have a really large amount of trauma in your body, it's incredibly difficult to quiet the mind or make the body still. Because the body needs to move and the mind needs to release what's stuck in there. It's energy. and we don't release it. Whenever we don't process it, we don't release it. So it could stay inside of you until it kills you.
Yeah.
It can kill you, or it could bring you back to your fullest, most freeing, most empowering, superhuman life.
And like having gone through some pretty wild trauma myself, I know that people out there, like, trauma's real. People are like going through elementary school and middle school and high school, and like, unless they have trauma in the home, there are a lot of people that are like, be an okay, comfortable life. Things are going to be not too bad, but not too good. It's going to be kind of fair, but not perfectly fair. It was me, lukewarm. It's like I grew up in middle class. I grew up not needing for much, but not having everything. And, you know, I'd get the game consoles like a year or two later than everybody else who had all the money and stuff. And then I got to see my stepfather move from high middle class into 3-story house with an elevator, boats, and a Lamborghini. And he doesn't have the values that allow him to have a thoroughly fulfilling life, even though he has it all. Has it all. Wife, kids, house, cars, travel. Has it all. Businesses, successful.
He's not connected to himself.
He can't communicate. He's not connected to self. He gets very easily offended. He was deeply offended by something I posted about my dead father. I posted a post that was grieving my father, talking about confused about my spirituality, because I don't know if my dad's gone or if he's really out there somewhere. I'm still like, you never really know. Some people are like, I know, and I've seen God and spirits, and that's cool, and I haven't.
Yeah.
And I've got a lot of work to do in my spiritual walk. And like, I am very in the 3D of my spiritual walk, and I'm excited to kind of surrender into the ether a little bit, the ether element of spirit.
Yeah, I have to say, that was a huge thing for me in my awakening. When all of those things were happening, then my grandmother passed. And I have to say, in the beginning of my awakening, she was very present. And I didn't know how I knew that, but I could absolutely 100% feel her presence in me, inside of me, and around me. Like, I could feel her working magic to shift my life from where it was. And I had the life of the marriage, the house, the family, the job, the career, all of the things. And I was so deeply inside.
Yeah. And it's easy to have what we're supposed to have in life and then put on a mask.
Oh, yeah.
And it's been 2.5 years of me removing every mask that I can. I mean, I don't know if you've seen me at some of the cocoa markets where I'm just me, very, very me. And like, people sometimes will, it's kind of cool because I've had people very rarely act anything other than totally normal when I show up in whimsical ways, especially in my feminine energy. And it's cool where it's like, it's because I know who I am. It's not like I'm doing it for attention, and I'm not doing it for to be a character or something. It's comfort. It's who I am. And it's like, I truly believe that clothing is not gendered. We made it up. We designed clothing, and we designed some to be women's clothing and some to be men's clothing, but really that's all the story. It's just fabric. And like, as long as people aren't being lewd or weird, I think that fabric is fabric pretty much across the board, and I don't feel some type of way about it, even though people that are stuck in dogma do. And people who are stuck in the result of other people's thinking and the paradigm of the world will be like, oh, that's kind of weird. And that's okay. But as I have taken so many masks off, and I try, like, I feel my emotions deeply. You saw me grieving publicly several times in person and over the social medias. And this paradigm that men like grieve in silence, and they hurt in silence. But even in hurting publicly and creating the space to be supported, I realize there's still masks to take off. Because it's easy to be like, I'm authentic and vulnerable because my heart's on my sleeve. But am I authentic and vulnerable if I have imposter syndrome for the years of experience that I do have? I mean, it's overdue for me to do a reintroduction post. Hey guys, you know me as the fire spinning whimsical Jedi fairy, but what you don't know is I'm a success and leadership expert, and I have studied success and leadership for the last more than a decade. My father was deeply involved in mastermind groups and was a business entrepreneur success story. And my stepfather is also a business entrepreneur success story. And I've been studying success since I realized that it was studyable. Because if I could have gone to school to study happiness and success, wouldn't you have done the same thing? College, right out of high school. All right, do you want to be an engineer, doctor, nurse, lawyer, philosopher, writer, artist, or would you like to study success and happiness? I'll take the last one, please. And I didn't realize that success and happiness were studyable, learnable attributes. And same with leadership. Later, probably 2 years afterwards, after I changed majors from engineering to communications, I added on a leadership studies degree. And then I started accumulating those books because I had extracurricular, external from school mentors as well. And picking up all these little mentor things over the time that I was connected to successful people, it's magnetic. I mean, some of the excellence trainings that I've done are the best decisions I've ever made in my life. As much as it hurts to go into a training with a partner and come out of that training, which is still not finished, with her not in my life as a stranger, it's the filter that we need to create what we want. It's not comfortable, it's not fun, but the pairing of all the hippy dippy, which sometimes people take to the next level, and it's just like, this magical rock is going to heal you. Like, there's levels to this.
Yeah.
From a scientific perspective, geology. Like, this is a cool rock. The earth made this, and that's pretty incredible in and of itself.
It's our bedtime.
Like, having the magic to realize that there is levels to this, and you can start at what level you're at. You can think it's a pretty rock, and you can be questioning the fact that, oh, this is a healing power. You can just admire it as a piece of the earth and say that's pretty freaking cool in and of itself. And having,
if somebody can look at that and they're depressed and they're in a not a present place, and they can look at that and say that's a part of the earth, that brings them right to the present moment.
Grounded.
Yeah.
Talk about grounded, holding a piece of the earth. And like, then there's the layers behind, I would say this, like the ethics of, I don't know that it's ethics, but it's the paradigm of like the continuum between all the hippy dippy magical things. Like, this is a rock and I'm going to put it in my pocket. And actually, the best way I can describe it is, I'm going to slide this into your purse. You're not going to know it's there. Is it going to heal you or help you in any way, shape, and form?
In a way.
Maybe.
For that day.
I don't know.
For that time that the energy is being transferred, so you can get a little bit of a spark.
Because the way that I believe in it is the proven science behind these, outside of some fringe studies on quartz specifically. You got your PM? Do it. I'll put a pin in that.
It comes like that. It comes so fast. This is one of the reasons I didn't want to be a nurse
Get
anymore.
hit by that. Oh, that makes sense. Totally makes sense. Oh, yeah,
I used to starve myself with water.
You like speed? This is great.
Oh my god, you guys already put the Christmas tree up.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. It's about the right time, approximately, because typically, like the Delray Beach Christmas tree went up.
Today.
We turned on today, but the Delray Beach Christmas tree went up before. It was up even before Halloween, believe it or not.
Oh yeah.
So I was like,
I had to put that gigantic tree there. It wasn't always there all year.
it was just on. They just put it up and built it right before Halloween, and I was like, it's not even Halloween yet. It's not even Thanksgiving yet, and Christmas trees up.
They had to get the most out of that tree. That tree must be sensitive.
I'm sure. This was like exactly what I needed, because this reminds me that there are people in my life that are going to show up and allow me to hold space in a way that creates what we both want.
I've been wanting to do a podcast for a long time. I actually really enjoy that lately. That's been bringing me a lot of joy each time that I do a podcast, and I want to do more of it.
There's so much potential too, impact and influence, and monetary is like secondary for me. It would be nice to one day monetize a bunch of people on a group call, and the kind of thing that.
Those are very powerful coaching sessions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very exactly.
Yeah, that's where a lot of the magic in my life goes to now. It's those group sessions, that has become a big part of my life. I don't even consider it work when I'm doing it. It's just to do what I love.
It's one of the reasons that I think that putting a program together for this and this with rehab centers, when I'm thinking about follow your passions, follow your efforts, I'm thinking about this is my passion, and if I follow it, I'll be doing something like John's doing, which is great, but I don't see myself running a tea house long term. I see myself helping people hands-on. So if I see myself helping people hands-on, and I need to have the money that I need to have to pay expensive bills and reinvest into the business further and get better software and get better lights and cameras and lighting, whatever I need to create a professional level experience, hire other people under my team, get a financial stability foundation. But I keep creating the story that I'm not going to be able to just go full time doing this.
Yeah, here's how you break that story. When you're an entrepreneur and you're doing what you love, you're following the passions, you're following your efforts, you're following God's gift to you. Guess who you work for?
I work for the man upstairs. I work for the Most High. Ja!
This is when I changed everything in my life. Everything. And the darkest times of this year has been really a big jump, like kind of like walking on a rope and not knowing where I'm going to fall.
I feel that.
And I just keep reminding myself, like, just keep going. If you stay where you are going to fall.
Yeah.
You got to keep that momentum.
You're sliding backwards if you're standing still, because the world is moving forwards.
Yeah, and you will fall.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at least you'll feel like you. And if you fall and everybody else is moving, you'll feel like you fell really far back.
Yeah, and it's interesting because like the whole analogy of having a drawstring pull back, so you need to move backwards in order to move forwards in any significant way.
Yes, that's a part of the lunar cycle. It's the 4th week right before the new moon. Before you release everything to bring in the new, you have to re-examine what you're releasing. So the arrow has to pull back, be in situations you don't want to be anymore, think things you don't want to think anymore, feel the things that you don't want to feel anymore. Go through all those things that you don't want to do anymore and let it go.
Especially with like the relationship that I just got out of. It was beautiful. It was a great relationship for the most part. I can't say many bad things about the actual relationship itself. And it's so easy to make resentment build just because something you didn't want to work out didn't work out. And it's easier to make the other person the bad guy so that you can move on comfortably than it is to sit with what is. And sitting with what is without making up stories, without holding on to complaints and building resentment is really hard for the human condition. We are interpreting everything always. And that thought process, now Miguel Ruiz, the Four Agreements guy, writes another book called The Voice of Knowledge, the single best chapter of any book I've ever read ever. The first chapter of The Voice of Knowledge.
Mm.
And it reframes.
Damn, I want to write a book like that one day.
Right? It reframes the story of Adam and Eve and the apple and the garden and the knowledge and this and that in a way that is palatable and not sacrilege. And it reframes it in a way that allows us to realize that the seed of the apple of knowledge is the seed of misinformation. So in order to gain the possibility of knowledge, you're also gaining the possibility of misinformation, which means you need to gain the ability to be skeptical in a healthy way.
And discernment. Your own truth.
So discerning your own truth is the first step. Discernment comes where this table is full of knowledge. You're picking through the knowledge to see what resonates with you and what makes sense. But that's only the first step. I actually taught a class on this once, and it was really powerful to write down. It's actually in the notebook somewhere. The distinction where lineage of the information is equally important, because you can be discerning and you can pick from a field of information and say, this is what makes sense out of this field of information. But if you're not looking at the root of that fruit, you're not actually taking something in, because you can realize that everything in the field is actually invalid. You can say, oh, that all made sense. But you start looking at the lineage of that information. Where did that come from? I started looking at the lineage of Christianity. I started looking at the lineage of other pagan religions. I started looking at the lineage of yoga in America and tea houses in America and tea in general. And I started looking at these lineages of where it comes from, all the different places it touches on. And you learn so much more looking at the lineage than just trying to have a discernment. Discernment is necessary in the process of looking through the lineage as well. So it's a strong attribute to have. But there's a lot of really discerning people out there that know what they know. They know it so strongly because they know it. And this is my lived experience, and I'm not going to ever invalidate it.
Mm.
But if you have all this lived experience and you picked from the field of knowledge that is readily available to you, that means you're not picking from the field of knowledge that's not readily available to you. And I went far and deep and wide to pick from the fields of knowledge that are not readily available to the everyday person. But now they are. I mean, pointing at my phone, pointing at my computer, this is all readily available now. And it's like, oh, we live in this crazy time where technology is hurting our brains. That's a story. The other story is we live in the most empowered time ever.
Yeah, it's true.
And there's another book that the cover's falling off of, so I don't typically display it. But it's called Homo Deus, and it talks about the next evolution of human psychology. And it talks about how we all think that the world's bad right now, but statistically, we have eradicated famine. Statistically, compared to how much war there was in the world, we have eradicated war. More people die of suicide every year. And war, terrorism, and crime combined around the world. Yeah, combined. And that's okay, what's the epidemic that we're all so worried about? War and terrorists? Or should we really be worried about the mental health epidemic? Because when you look at the statistics and they want us to focus, say, whatever, Illuminati or entities, or maybe even just the media and the influences that are there from corporations.
Yeah.
Whatever that looks like. It creates this story of fear. But living in the story of fear, there's a payoff. What's the payoff? We consume. We live for the weekend. We don't try to buck the system because we're scared. Like I'm scared to ask people for money because it takes a lot of time to work hard for your money. Who am I to say, all right, we agreed on $2,000, but the job's taking longer than expected. It's got to be $3,000 or I'm walking off the job site. And by the time that agreement was made, the job took even longer. And I was like, it's got to be like 36 or 35 at this point because we keep expanding the scope of the job. And he's like, they have that in budget and I finished the job anyway. But where does that show up? Where the economy comes first in our brain rather than our economy. I think it's really important because there is money everywhere, always. And there are people who do really well during recessions that aren't necessarily bad people that are betting against the system. Because there's people that are making money betting against the system. And when the system drops, they make money. And then there's people that are seizing the moment. There are people like you who used COVID to go inward. I was in absolute hell for 2 years during COVID. I wish I could have started this all during COVID. That's when one of my mentors started his podcast. And Hindsight. Shout out to Hindsight. God bless. Thank you. His work is wonderful. And he does tea and he does wisdom. And if he can do it, I can do it. Yeah. And he has encouraged people. He's like, there is no competition in this realm.
No, everybody has their light.
And it's like, I work closely with Donnell, the other tea woman that lives in Lake Worth, and her husband Josh, partner Josh. And they do like psychedelic tea ceremonies, and they hold space, and they do education work, and all kinds of stuff. And then obviously a tea brand. So like they sell teaware and tea, and she's sourced all this stuff and has all this inventory. Amazing amount of investment. But to see that when I show up around them, I feel like an equal. But I don't know how to show up in that way. I feel like an equal. But they're in a home with property, with building things on their home and paying people and a lake and hosting retreats. And they've got this huge vision. They got inventory. They're always working on their passion. And like, I know I'm capable of it. But the society though inside of me says, go get the elevator job, work your 40 hours, and then build this outside.
I have an elevator job for you.
Because if I work for the union, I get to guarantee my future. You ever work for the elevator union? If I work for this small elevator company.
Which future are you guaranteeing?
401k, IRA, money going to be there later for kids, for old age, pension.
Okay, so the future, your financial future.
Financial future, specifically, because it's really easy to want to express my passions. But me and Jason were talking about this today. He's an artist, he's a hairstylist, he does rehab work, he does all kinds of things. And he's like, I wish I would have just chose 20 years earlier. Me and him are a 20-year gap. He's like, I wish I could have just chose 20 years earlier to buckle down and do the thing that I would have gotten stability out of, so that in my 40s and 50s, I could create what I want to create at will. Rather than trying to create what you want to create at will in your 20s and 30s, and then in your 40s and 50s, if you haven't succeeded at your entrepreneurial endeavors, then you're.
So let's pretend like the elevator job happens, or even the thought of the elevator job happened, and it got you to this awareness that you want to have financial stability and financial safety in your future. Did you have that before? Awareness?
Yeah, I had the awareness before, and I also had stability. I was working for $35 an hour for an elevator company, 40 hours a week, and I wouldn't often get overtime. But
This is what you're
when I did, I would pocket a lot of money. But I made up for years that working the 40-hour-a-week grind would take away from who I am. And then I was in the 40-a-week-hour grind, and it was great. It was great having my guaranteed money. It was great building things and not having to grind. What's the next grind? And I make up that I could do the 40-hour-a-week thing and build this on nights and weekends until it's sustainable. But I also make up that if I want to do the handyman tea thing, that it gets way more complicated. So I see Donnell and her partner working 24 hours a day.
Well, there's a thing about working 24 hours, not 24 hours, nobody should do that. But when you're doing what you love, you kind of are working all the time.
Yeah.
But you're just being you.
Yeah, like I fire smart. I do this anyway. Show up to events. I even if I'm not getting paid to be a Coco, I have to find I've got a teapot in my hand.
Yeah, my throat is
All right.
going, yeah. I'm recently going through a lot of opening myself. I was getting so upset because like all my clients and all my friends, everybody can see colors and things. And I honestly wasn't able to see a lot of those things. I can hear, I can see them, but not super visual, not super in front of me. There was only the block there, and I could only see purple, and I could only see white and black, but nothing could stand for the colors, which is why I see the whole rainbow. And I recently found out that my neck, I went to a chiropractor, was instead of going up balance with your curvature in your neck, mine is going opposite direction. So it actually providing blood flow to my pineal gland, to my brain, for me to see all of those things. I had 2 strokes this year.
Wow.
Yeah, I had 2 strokes.
Can you only grab a
Oh, it's okay.
Actually, I know what I'm going to do next. Because I needed the water up anyway.
Go back in here. Actually, not too good going.
Yeah, perfect.
So,
If you want, I was going to go blend with echinacea. Because in here is another piece. There's some triple up. This is elderberry and echinacea, which is exactly what that.
Okay, I'll wait.
These are the good ones. I've had this tea for years. It's called Blossoms of Health. Elderberry, echinacea, and all kinds of things. You want to smell? You want to smell the tea? What's it smell like to you? Can you describe that?
She's also had her chakras open in the last few years.
Chakra awakening puppies.
Chakra awakening puppies.
Chaps.
What is it?
I definitely did not get that much. We're going to do the opposite of what we did last time. We'll land under it. I tilt it towards the camera. It doesn't go on the ground. That looks great. The puppy crying all over me. That goes right back here.
Wow.
That works, but that is not the intention. It's funny that because this is the lip for this.
Oh. Oh, it looked like that was the lip.
They're designed together. They're part of a set, but I've never accidentally put 2 and 2 together. The fact that that lid fits so perfectly on there is actually kind of cute. It's just like this one. This one's a proper seal. This one's not.
Oh yeah, not for the tea. It would definitely air it out too much, right?
Definitely. Oh, thank you, water. We love you, water. This is Florida spring water, so we love you. And actually, you can see all the minerals from the water at the bottom. This is a clean.
Oh.
This is a clean teapot, and I actually cleaned it like days ago. And I only boil spring water here.
Wow.
I don't put. I'll do filtered water occasionally, so then that's pretty pure. But typically, anything that forms in the bottom is the minerals from Spring. So
Which I don't know if it's too good here in Florida.
Florida spring water is awesome.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Florida spring water is great.
Okay.
The groundwater in the springs is mineral balanced. It's pretty solid. And I don't know, like, you know, you get into all the layers of how they
I trust you. You're a
Correct.
manifesting generator. You know, you're in tune with all of these things.
have swam in the water that we drank. Is
I don't doubt it.
that you ever in, or is that me?
I don't know where my phone is. Sounds like my phone. It might be your phone. I think
It might be
over
me.
there.
No, it's not.
My phone. There's no way my phone's right.
This worked out great today.
Yes.
We're working on good angles. We got good lighting. Actually, I'm curious. This is probably going to change the whole. Should have done this earlier.
Oh, I don't know.
Nah, makes you too bright. Yep,
Let's
it was
see.
good the way it was.
Good lighting.
Oh, you know, I think that the brightness on this is probably. Turn the brightness on the camera down. Yeah, I did. There you go. Now match with the other brightness. I don't know, almost the exact same color. That's good. It's even better when I have two at the same camera, because I do have two at the same camera, and I put one here. And then I can take the suction cup off and lower it, so it's better face angle. So, yeah, the suction cup mounts are great. That was a game changer. The same thing that is mounted behind here. So,
Oh my god, I have that.
it's just the suction cup.
The longer that I've been using for that's the picture that I have on the beach.
Oh, yeah.
It's the same
That was funny.
one.
Cool how that works out. How did hot water end up in here? Did I already do this? Because I got halfway through doing this, and I decided the tea wasn't done.
I love it.
That's not gonna be herbs.
I am super attracted to tea. Super.
I think that the people that are attracted to tea, let's keep manifesting that, and the people who are attracted to tea continue to be attracted to me.
Oh my gosh, you're just out of control today.
Just how I am, but it's only when I'm with other people.
Well, this is the new
It's
moon,
activation.
so this is big manifestation.
It's manifestation.
Big manifestation.
These are my favorite cups because
Oh my
they
God, so
are
good.
they're double-walled cups. So all these little flower or the leaf holes, you actually can see that it's not touching the hot part. So it's
No hearts.
and if you put water in through here, it comes out through the bottom. You see there's a hole in the bottom. So you can actually if you flip the cup upside down and put water in through the hole, it'll flow out through the hearts.
Oh my god.
Because I don't even know how they made it. That's like such a cool design.
Yeah.
But it makes it so you can hold the hot cup without burning your hand.
Very
I
cool.
could put full boil in here, and you can pick it up and touch it and hold it.
Cheers.
These are actually these cups are. I searched for these cups because my friend Matt, who was friends with the person who originally shared tea with me, who passed away. His name was Eric, and Eric, we used to just sit at his house and drink tea out of a French press all night. And I didn't know what was in the tea. I gotta ask.
It's a weed, probably.
Yeah, you can't put weed in tea, but you can put mushrooms in tea. But ultimately, we would sit all night and just talk, and it was like portals would open. We were sober, but just tea drinking portals. And tea drinking portals are real as fuck. So after he passed, and I realized that he shared a level of magic with me that he activated magic in me that I didn't know was there. But there's no Eric in the world anymore to activate magic in others. So I kind of adopted part of that flame, that torch that he carried in the world of being a wizard and sharing magic with people became part of who I am. And so Matt was his roommate at the time, and we were drinking tea back at the beginning of the drum circle. I'm talking about 2014, 15. We walk from the drum circle back to his home, drink tea until the sun rose, and open portals of existence. And after losing him, I realized how special those moments were. I went to go sit with Matt, connect with him for the first time in years after we lost Eric. And I hadn't talked to him in probably 6 years, 8 years. He had these cups. He said that he got them with Eric. So he had gotten these cups, and he pulled them out, and we shared tea out of a cast iron teapot. And I was like, I want those cups. So I searched for them for 3 years, and I found them. These were used, and there's one chip, one of them. But other than that, they're perfect.
Oh wow!
One of the leaves is chipped. I think it's on yours because I would have felt it with my fingers. Yeah, one of the heart pieces on one of the leaves is chipped, just a teeny tiny bit, and you can almost barely even tell.
Okay, so this one is missing.
Yep, that's it.
It's missing the center.
Exactly. That's the only imperfection with them.
You know what? It actually makes it look like a nose, like a real nose.
Oh, that's cool. You're right. And it's got eyes.
It's a full face.
It knows.
It knows.
I've got another teacup named Chip because obviously it has a chip in it, but that's Nose.
It knows.
That cup's named Nose, and we got Chip somewhere floating around. That's so funny. Do you have a water cup? There's herbs in the bottom of it. So
yeah.
There's definitely gonna be herbs in the bottom.
Not too bad. I would never feel safe to just pour my tea in the cup and then pour it out, but it's fine.
Well, this has a filter inside of it.
Oh, it does? When it comes out?
Right here.
Oh.
It's all blocked. Now you can see it. Okay. So it's filtered. And then when it's not filtered, I have another filter. But actually, the first thing I cracked on this tea set was the filter. Fucking almost immediately. And it's like, you'll hear it. Maybe not pulling it out, but putting it back in, you can hear the ceramic rubbing against the ceramic in a way that's just like, it's still whole because there's a rubber band holding it together.
Oh.
But there's cracks along all three sides, from here all the way up, from here all the way up. I cracked the fuck out of it.
Oh.
So
you can mold it, put it back together?
I could, but then I wouldn't want to use it because just like this one, it's not really beverage safe. I don't trust the synthetic polymer that's been used. I can do it with real gold. It's stupid expensive. I'd rather just replace the whole tea set for that. but you can put this here.
Oh yeah, that was fine.
So for very finely ground tea, you can put this here. There's different places for like shoving this back in here. I very rarely take it out because you hear that. Like.
You're not supposed to hear that.
Yeah, but it's the cracks rubbing against each other. Like as pressure is exerted on the cracks, are just like.
Wow, you can hear that. I cannot hear that, but that's obviously getting to you.
Yeah. So I'm excited to see the things that are created with me. I guess taking full ownership over my power would be the words.
Ooh. It's hard to do that. It's hard to see your power and be like, I can do that.
If I say I want to be an author and a coach and a mentor and a speaker and all these things, I have a communications degree from FAU. I'm qualified to share what I've learned. And what I've learned is reality creation. I think some of the best things I learned in college were how people form reality and how all of life is an act. That was one of my intro to communication classes. I remember it. The philosophy stuff that I learned in school, invaluable. The sociology stuff I learned in school, invaluable. Things like integrity-based communication, intercultural communication.
It sounds more like, and not just that you want to do those things, it just sounds more like that's just been the route that you've been on your whole life anyways.
I was an engineering student because it felt like it would pay the bills, and I felt like I liked math and science.
Everything has a
purpose. And then I got into college. And FAU is a research college, so the professors are brilliant because they're in the field doing stuff. They're not just teaching, which is great in theory until you're in a class with a chemistry professors are so smart you can't communicate. So I realized specifically in my chemistry class, I realized that in a room of 300 people asking questions, she would brush by and be like, "We've already answered that question." Somebody's asking the question, it's because you didn't answer. or in a way that makes sense.
Yeah.
Not properly. But I realized that communication was one of the biggest defects of society in general. And I looked around in my life and I realized that I've always been a good communicator. And I was listening to John C. Maxwell at the time. John C. Maxwell will regularly say that if you are not working hard at improving your gift, you're doing yourself a disservice. If you're good at speaking and you get up and speak, shame on you. Because if you could have prepared, but you're able to get by just getting up and winging it, then you're losing the impact of your gift. You're just copying out. You're not trying. And like I can get up and speak, I can public speak on a whim. I studied public speaking at school, but before then, even I still could public speak on a whim. I would go up and do my college projects, like the presentations. I would make the presentation the night before. I had been doing research all along. I would make the presentation the night before, not study, and just walk up and talk about it. Because the way that I learned was through actually learning. I did the research. So
you were already prepared.
I was already prepared. There's no make the slides and then
Just like
study the slides. Otherwise,
God,
you need to make the slides and you study the slides and then you study it all incessantly.
this is a problem. I can tell this is a problem.
It creates the space and the breaks that we need because eventually I need to let you go for the night.
I don't know if we're ever gonna stop.
Ever? He's very peculiar and
so that's especially for most people who see it like too high and live an inspired life. And so it's like, well, and you find something that prioritizes the values and that's what you're choosing your community and just
you were talking about how you can be effective at using your human energy in your meat suit. Your meat suit.
Your body.
Yeah. We should say bye to the camera, and then we should say bye to each other. Give us a wait quick.
Well, this was
This is great.
absolutely lovely.
Did you have a good time? You got all the cuddles. You got to run around. You got to eat some tea.
Oh, she had a great
We had a
time.
great time. Just getting all the attention while we just chatted. Yeah. You're so cute.
Thank you for more conscious conversations.
Yeah, of course. And then we dove through 3 teas today. So we did the Yummy Bear tea, which is the herbal fruit blend. And this is from the Path of Tea in Texas. This is the Blossoms of Health, which is from a local tea purveyor that closed down, called Union Flower. But they still sell this exact type of tea up the road, a quarter mile over the road, right over the train tracks. And there's a place called, one that they closed. The place that still sells it is called Herbs and Earth. Amy runs Herbs and Earth right up the road. Great tea shop. Super cool. All kinds of herbs, not just tea, herbs too. And she has amazing incense and crystals and so cool. Right up the road. Super cute shop. Amy's super nice. And then the one in the middle. What did I make in the middle? We added the peach blossoms from the other business. So that's from Donnell's business, Sensualities. So we're repping 3 tea businesses today. We're drinking tea from all over the world. I can't tell you exactly where, but I know that one came sourced from Florida, or 2 of them, and one of them is sourced from Texas. But where these herbs and earth came from, I couldn't tell you offhand. Wait, one tasted like you said, raspberry. Like you said, raspberry and plum is what I was getting off the fruit one.
Yeah, huge.
The second one, when it turned really dark, it got earthy. But I like the fact that we might not be able to smell it anymore because the echinacea. the mint kind of covers everything else up. But they're all layered inside of each other now. All I can smell is the echinacea.
Smells amazing.
And we get to engage all the senses with tea. I love that. We get to slow down. We engage time, or rather disengage. We get to engage sight, and smell, and touch, and warmth, and taste. And
it's very detoxifying too.
if you drink enough tea, I mean, especially if you're talking like Camellia sinensis, true tea is not just a caffeine effect. Even if you're drinking a lower caffeinated tea, you'll get like tea high. I don't know exactly how they describe it, but they call it tea high.
Yes, because certain teas and certain flowers put you in a certain vibration, a certain energetic vibration. It raises your energy.
In my first tea ceremony, I was like, tea high, just get me talking about. And then at the end, I was like, I'm a little woozy.
There is, yeah, that is part of that too. It raises your energy.
I made these pins. I still got to get more made.
May the tea balance you.
I'm a Star Wars guy.
So cool. You could do this forever.
Yeah, and I feel like, it's so cool to have like physical commodities of what I've created. Like I made a freaking whole brand. Like I did.
And it's
I did a
beautiful.
thing. You'd never even know that it was AI. This is obviously AI. This, I took a lot of time reiterating, because I wanted to be able to look at it and not feel like it looks like AI.
I don't know. I feel like AI knows exactly what you want, and it does it.
Talk about knows exactly what you want.
I have mad respect for AI. I mean, who do you think is manning that AI net source?
You know the wildest thing is when you say it's exactly what you want. I almost have to pull up if it's going to be readily available, which it is.
The more I trust it, the more it gives me what I need too.
Have you met Heather or no? My old partner.
We met a couple of times at the Flow Fest. Was my friend? Oh.
I made that for her, and it came out on the first try. Like, that's literally, it looks like Heather.
Yeah.
Like, there's a pole, there's a lyra, there's fire, there's the colors that she wants, sparkle and flow entertainment. And it's like, with respect to who she is and what she was able to give me, she gave me in love. She gave me what she was capable of giving me. I want somebody that comes into my life and does shit like that. Like, she has 3 logos that she uses all on her website and her business, and one of them is for Enchanted Forest Entertainment, and one of them is for Sparkle and Flow Entertainment. And one's like a brand that does one thing, and one's a brand that does another thing. And to be able to have helped her in that way so tangibly, I did my my love languages quiz again today, and I'm always like, oh yeah, physical touch and words of affirmation. I did my words of my love language quiz again today, and it came out to be acts of service as number 1. Because in all the times I was pretty discerning with the questions, I was like really sit with it. It gave me the 2 options. A lot of them were physical touch based, but the next one after it was like physical touch, or would you want your love interest or partner to come beside you and help you in a project that you're working? And it's like that's become more valuable to me than physical touch.
That's what you need right now.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah, man. Like it's fun to be able to have connections with people, but to have a depth of connection that goes beyond physical and into the spiritual, emotional, etheric realm. That's what I'm calling into my life right now. It's like I'm moving past the 3D. I'm finally proud of myself for not just being like, let's go find the next partner.
Makes the painful worth it.
Yeah. And it's like I said, in full circle is when I handled today's situation with renegotiating so well. When I saw Heather in person, I'm like, yeah, you don't have time to talk or breathe with me, but clearly you're able to make time to talk when you stop thinking about it. And it's like, what are we doing that we could make time for if we stopped overthinking? Everything. Even me waking up in the morning and reading a book or putting my knees on the ground and meditating.
It's all. This is every 5 minutes. Either you want to on song or just hold on.
It's funny. We didn't even know where it was. I heard it vibrating.
And I keep grabbing my phone. Like,
We looked around in this room. We had no clue where it was.
Thank you.
Dog.
Oh,
God.
you can't have a quiet Tuesday night.
All right. We have talked about so many things this evening, and we are probably at an hour at least on live. 2? No way. Where are we at? An hour 50. Yeah, we're at 2. But this is a thing that we did the thing today. We had our first guest. We had transformational nurse, consultant, coach, magic person. And I'm happy to have you in my life. And glad to see all the things that we can do together.
Me too. It feels like you're a long lost brother that is finally coming to my life.
I found my tribe, and there was a time when I knew I wasn't ready to be connected to all the people I found. So it was 14, 15, 16. Like, I was younger. I was in my early 20s. And I had people like, I didn't know who I was authentically yet, so I couldn't meet them where they were at. And some of them also didn't know where they were at authentically yet. I just knew that eventually, and that was a decade ago. And now I'm like seeing these people at parties, and I'm connecting with them and inviting people over to my house. And it's cool to have moved from a place where I felt like I wanted this, and now I look around and it's all around.
You cleaned the high house. That's where you can see your heart now.
Big time. All that green is just like, it's a forest now, instead of it being like a barren desert. I mean, it was never a barren desert, but it felt that's what happens when you internalize that which you have acted upon you. So, last thing I'll have to say is my identity contract is I am an authentic, inspirational, honorable, loving leader. It is who I am. It is on my wall, and it always reminds me. And that's who I am. I get to show up authentically and inspirationally and honorably and as a leader. But most importantly, loving to me. I've had that for 10 years.
Oh, you were reading that.
Mm-hmm.
It sounded very natural.
Well, I mean, it's also because I can say it with my eyes closed.
Yeah. And the whole topic has been not wanting to fully step into that.
Right? How easy is it? Does it say hardworking, creative, strong man on there? Like,
that's just a byproduct of what happens.
Well, no, but that's what I get into when I say I'm just going to do the handyman thing and not do this full time, and not find a way to make a system that works. Whether it be rehabs and yoga studios, whether it be music festivals, whether it be paid speaking engagements, whether it be...
If anybody can be successful at this, it's you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. This is definitely a very unique brand. And the Inner Magi was the original name of the brand. And Steeping Sensei is really good, and I like it. But I think when I make an actual tea brand that distributes tea, it's going to be called Jade Eye Tea. Like Jade Eye, because if you say it quickly, I won't get sued by Disney.
Did I? Jade Eye
Because then it's the Jade Eye Academy. And the Jade Eye Academy is where we dive.
It's a jade. Stone.
Yeah, don't get jaded.
Don't get jaded. Oh, this is so good.
And I already have logos. I already have colors just in the name. I already have what I need in so many respects. And it's like...
I'm glad you see that.
Yeah. So it's like, if I want to get paid to be me, I would get paid to do tea ceremony, teaching, educating, speaking, holding space. And
you're in the universe.
Then finally, I would embrace my role as a performer, entrepreneur extraordinaire, and I would be able to incorporate fire into this somehow, and do fire spinning performances and get paid to travel around and meet new people.
And you're taking me with you.
Yeah, let's go. Let's do it.
Well, I'm glad you got this on recording. But it's still recording, right? Yeah, there's another one. glad you got your new moon.
I could have just done that to begin with. I forgot.
Wow.
I forgot I put this up because behind this is just a bunch of, it's the art studio and it's a mess. So I put this up and I forgot that I could do
Wow, that looks so cool.
the T-sets right in the middle. And the coolest thing about it is if the angles are right, I can just go into here and yeah, that looks good. That looks really good. Who needs to do the 2-camera thing?
No, you are.
That's great.
Simplified. Boom.
That's what happens when you have the wide angle camera. I did so much research getting these cameras because I can change this and I can change the stream quality as well. And I can change all the colors. I can make it dynamic. I can change the autofocus, which is actually off right now. That's what's been going on. I'm like, I don't look totally clear. Oh, I think I manually focused this so that it wouldn't keep fucking up.
But the 2 cameras was cool too. It was good to see that.
And they both worked out well. This whole thing is,
This whole set was incredible.
yeah. And I've got, these cameras actually have pretty excellent mics. I had lapel microphones, and they were medium price. They weren't too expensive. I mean, expensive mics are like $800 for a pair of mics. Wireless ones. So, I was surprised when I took the lapel mic off, and I was like, fuck, it makes one of them broke. So I was like, all right, I guess I'm not using these today. And I turned the microphones off, and I used the microphone that's integrated into here, and the audio quality is real good.
What are you gonna do with this?
Well, it's on YouTube. So,
Oh, it's already on YouTube?
oh yeah, the whole thing's been on YouTube. Yeah, it's already findable on YouTube. Yeah, since 2 hours ago, you could sign in and get a notification if you're in my feed. But ultimately, usually it takes me, I gotta figure out some new processes because first I have to go live on YouTube
Yeah.
through StreamYard. And then I need to go live on Facebook or Instagram because I can do that simultaneously. I could go into here and I can run 2 streams off the same camera somehow.
So I know Zoom lets you do that.
Yeah, the paid version.
Yeah.
So I don't have any paid versions of anything right now.
Okay.
I'd like to be able to reinvest into my business.
I do.
And then on top of that, StreamYard, when I get the paid version of StreamYard, I can stream to Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, all at the same time. One click. All of my comments from all of them pop up right here. And it'll show like this comments from YouTube, this comments from Facebook, this comments from Instagram. So it's all integrated. So I want to be able to get the $300-400 to be able to pay for this like once a year.
Oh, this has
And
an extra.
all the integrations are all right in StreamYard, and it's pretty expensive. But imagine instead of me having to go and click go live here, and then click and then go live here and type all my descriptions, and then go into my Facebook group and share it to the Facebook group so that the people on Facebook are notified, and then go into Instagram and share it to my Instagram so those people are notified. I would just click once, and everybody across all the platforms will be notified. Jake is live. And that's what I really want. Because I've been going live on Facebook and getting almost no interaction. And on YouTube, you don't get any interaction until you tell people video exists. So it's like, I don't have an active following on YouTube, so we probably had 0 viewers the entire time. I could share this with somebody, or I can
save that video.
I can save the video and cut it and make clips out of it.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely, which I have been doing. Typically, if I go into StreamYard, I'll also simultaneously stream to Facebook, which I didn't do tonight. Sometimes it takes like 10 minutes to set up.
Well, let's put the intention that this video is going to get you the money that you need to upgrade.
Oh, it's a great space for that. I can align. It's uncomfortable, but I can still align.
Well, that's part of alignment.
Yeah.
Entrepreneurship feels very uncomfortable to break out of a lot of the programming.
Mm-hmm. And it's interesting because, like, I've always been a thinner guy, but regardless, I'm still pretty strong. And I know, again, back full circle, I know what I need to do. You know why? Because it's right fucking here.
Ooh.
And I just need to do it 4 times a week.
You should come. If you're ever down in Delray, I have a full gym in that community.
Cool. Are we going to end at 2 on the dot?
Boxing.
Yes, we got to wait 30 seconds so we can say bye.
Oh.
2026. All right. This was Steeping Sensei's T-Cast with my first ever guest, Danaysi. the transformational nurse consultant coach extraordinaire. And I'm excited to create a synergistic relationship where we're going to get her podcast started as well. And we're going to get us on here more often. But till next time, remember that you matter so much that you are made of matter. And what's your tagline? You got anything?
From trauma to triumph.
From trauma to triumph. Aho. At 2 hours on the dot, we will see you next time. We did it!
We did it.
Yes.
That was fun.
It was fun. And